there's a deeper issue to this quarrel. It's not only about a contest for supremacy and for leadership over technology, but as the US sees it, it's fundamentally about the future of humane governance and international norms, including the norms which govern economic life and political life. Recall that the PRC has already exploited and harnessed advanced data technology to subjugate its own people. In Xinjiang, as well as in Hong Kong today, and I would say as well in other provinces of the PRC, such as the Guangdong, Guangzhou, Pearl River Delta area, we have seen the buildup of the world's most advanced police state. This has been enabled by advances in AI technology and facial recognition technology, as you all are aware. The PRC has built a panoptical surveillance system, which it uses to keep people under control. And it's also learning how to use this technology to encourage certain kinds of behaviors, moral outcomes among the people it controls. Meantime, the PRC, through its Digital Silk Road initiative, has been exporting these technologies around the world. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace had estimated in a report recently that PRC had exported these surveillance technologies to about 63 different countries. I imagine that number has actually grown. I know that in most of the places where I work across Eurasia, including some parts in Africa and some countries that I visited in Latin America, you can see evidence of Huawei and Hikvision and PRC technology being deployed in large urban centers. The American concern about this, of course, one is that it provides the PRC the ability to surveil populations and to use populations data that in other countries. So this is a threat from the US perspective to the sovereignty of nation states around the world. There are deeper concerns as well from a security perspective that the PRC can use its control of other countries' data to politically manipulate them. The opportunities for political manipulation will theoretically grow, in particular when the 50-cent army yields to greater AI armies in the future. And then there's also a concern about what happens when countries get dependent on PRC suppliers. It locks them into a particular trajectory of digital development. A degree of vendor dependency on Huawei and other heavily state subsidized PRC technology companies that makes it very difficult for countries to back out of. Also because 5G is what it is. It's a foundational core technology that will enable other industries of the future. There's a concern that if PRC can control that in other countries, then PRC will also have control over the civilian infrastructure in other countries, and therefore would be able to have leverage over those countries, both economically and politically. More deeply, the concern about the spread of these surveillance technologies is this. When I look at how the PRC discusses this, they are looking for ways to reduce the costs of their authoritarian government at home. And at the same time, I believe by exporting these technologies, they're also looking to create and to foster other authoritarian governments that are dependent on the PRC for their stability. As such, from the US perspective, this is part and parcel of, at least from my perspective, this is part and parcel of the geopolitical supernova that the PRC has become, to build a more supportive world order, to create dependencies on it, and therefore to undermine the international order of sovereign states. And because of that, we can talk more about this, but there have been a number of policy measures that the US has undertaken, both by itself and in conjunction with its allies and partners around the world, to prevent the PRC's ability to establish tech dependencies, and to ultimately also make sure that the PRC does not succeed. But needless to say, the PRC is determined, at least Xi Jinping. I think that there's a lot of doubt in the party today about the wisdom of Xi Jinping's gambits. But certainly Xi Jinping believes that this is necessary for the party's self-preservation and survival in the 21st century. And so they're determined to make these things work and stick. And that, I think, is, as I said, the fundamental driver of these large geotech wars that we've only just begun.